Our founders' vision of a republic is under threat from actions from the White House. That is why today, as Speaker of the House, I solemnly and sadly open the debate on the impeachment of the President of the United States. If we do not act now, we would be derelict in our duty. It is tragic that the President's reckless actions make impeachment necessary. He gave us no choice.
I will tell you right now, Madam Speaker, we on the Republican side have no problem taking our case to the majority and to the people of this country because they elected Donald Trump, and it is a matter for the voters, not this House, not in this way, not in the way this is being done. It has trampled everything this House believes in. We're going to talk a lot about impeachment. We're going to talk a lot about a president, and we're going to talk about two articles of impeachment. Abuse of power, because they can't actually pin anything of factual basis on him. The president did nothing wrong in this issue.
Many woke up all over the world to the news that the House of Representatives in the United States of America has impeached its president. Now, in Nigeria, when you hear impeachment, it has a different meaning altogether. But let's get an understanding of it and how far so far and what happens next. We have to take on this issue with us, a lecturer at the Christopher University, Ogun State, Professor Idoko. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So, it has happened again.
Yeah, Trump is down. Trump is impeached.
Okay. Down?
Well, he thinks he is up, but he's hiding his feelings because in his campaign yesterday in Michigan, where you call Battle Creek, he was telling his rowdy crowd that he was feeling like there was no impeachment. But I think he was simply hiding his feelings. He will be the third president in the United States to be impeached. It's historic. The first impeachment happened in 1868, the second in 1996, and 2019, the third one.
But nothing exactly came out of those impeachments. So maybe he's right in saying, I don't feel down, especially because if you go to the Senate, you see that the Republicans have the majority.
Yeah, but I think that the impeachment in the House is damaging enough. His presidency will never be the same again.
But this is someone we have seen withstand series of, issues such as this. So do you think this is any different?
No, Trump is a gadfly. And he pretends a lot because he engages in vile propaganda and lies and falsehood. And his morality is up in the air. So he thinks that nothing is happening to him, whereas something is happening to him. He thinks that in the Senate, his Republican cohorts, will not do anything. He will not be removed. He's convinced he's not going to be removed.
Do you think he will be removed?
No, he will not be removed, I think. But then, the impeachment is something else.
But
for a president to be impeached.
No, some are saying for a president like Donald J. Trump, that this is actually going to strengthen, especially his campaign. This will be a major impetus for him. If he rides this storm and comes out of it unscathed, as a lot of people are predicting, then they're saying this will even make his chances at becoming president again even higher. Do you share that?
It is possible. It is possible because the racial tensions are very high. And the divisiveness in the American society is unprecedented. And he has caused all this. And he's profiting by all those. I agree. But then, I think that with what has happened, American society will not be the same. Cannot be the same. If you watch the proceedings, the debates, all persons of color supported the impeachment. All persons, without exception, supported the impeachment. And that tells volumes about the American society, the divisiveness in the American society.
So maybe we should just move away from the impeachment and talk about what you just raised, because, I mean, that's a bigger picture. When the president leaves office, this will still be there. So the impeachment aside, how do you think the American society, and I will also come to the effect on Nigeria and the African continent, but how can they begin to rally together? Because presidents will come and go, but the people will still remain.
Well, I think that's the unfortunate thing about Donald Trump's presidency. The kind of division he has brought to the American society. The dream, the American dream, a coalition of, a rainbow coalition of people from different, parts of the world. He has tried to destroy that. He started with the DACA, the young people in America who are given a leash to remain in America and aspire to the American dream. He tried to destroy it. He never wanted immigrants. He is a descent of an immigrant family. His wife, is an immigrant. So that's the lie in the presidency of Donald Trump.
Help us understand something.
Yeah.
Even in Nigeria's politics between 1999 and now, we've heard of impeachment of governors, of presidents, and once there is impeachment, the understanding we have about impeachment in Nigeria is that once you are impeached, you are removed from office immediately. But in America, it seems to be different. It's the House of Representatives that has impeached the President of the United States on 2 counts. Help us understand, and of course, that impeachment doesn't mean removal from office. As at this time, it still has to go to trial in the Senate. So help us understand what it means, really.
Yes, the American model is different from our model in certain regards. Though both countries are operating the presidential system of government. The Senate in America is a bit different from the Senate in Nigeria. With the impeachment that has happened in the House of Representatives in America, you will have to have a trial, a successful trial in the Senate before a president can be removed. In the American Constitution, it is only the House of Representatives that has the sole authority to impeach a president. But the Senate conducts the trial for removal. Impeachment is one thing, removal is another. In the Nigerian circumstance, once you are impeached in the House, they ratify in the Senate. Then the president is removed. But it hasn't happened yet.
So help us on this. What does it mean? Is it just an indictment, or what effect does it have on the president's presidency?
Yeah, the impeachment in the House is an indictment, more or less. But it's only the Senate that can remove the president.
But what has happened over the years, some have also argued in the American society that the impeachment proceedings only strengthened the popularity of the previous people, except Nixon, over time.
Yeah, the point about Nixon was that his offenses were considered to be high crimes because he tried to interfere. The same thing that Trump has been doing, try to interfere in the other party to hem in the party and stranglehold the party not to perform because he felt a threat to his re-election and wanted to manipulate the elections. So, and that, of course, was out in the jury there. Mm-hmm. But before the impeachment happened, in his own case, he resigned. He would have been impeached. But he decided to resign.
Others were impeached.
Others were impeached.
They were not removed.
Clinton was impeached, wasn't removed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm saying the authority to impeach resides with the House of Representatives. Right. But the authority to remove resides with the Senate. Okay. And in this case, the Republicans are in the majority in the Senate. The the Democrats are in the majority in the House. That was why they were able to impeach Trump, for instance. Right. In the Senate, it's not likely that he will be removed.
So you don't see this going past the Senate, pretty much. But let's talk about the effect of this. Now, in the U.S., for example, if you check the stock market, they actually closed at near all-time high, basically saying, we don't really care about this, or this is not at least going to affect trading. Investors are not really perturbed by this because they believe that this is going to die down eventually. That's in the United States. Now, some people are trying to draw attention to the effect on this United States relationship with Africa, with Nigeria, for example, and some are saying it's too early. Perhaps nothing will change. But do you see this affecting the relationship or having any form of remote effect on us? Because, I mean, it's also Nigeria first for us. What do you think?
Yes, it's because we don't learn lessons from incidents around the world. And we're not historical, in our thinking. What has happened to Trump should be a major lesson for us in Africa and in Nigeria. A healthy democracy is founded on the differences of opinion and is grounded in a shared body of norms. The rule of law, for instance. Do we pay heed to the rule of law in Nigeria, for instance? Do we pay heed to differences of opinion? Is it not the same Nigeria? We have a hate speech bill going on in the Senate. A hate speech bill. And a provision says in that bill that if you are found guilty of an offense of hate speech, you face the gallows.
Which he says
You'll be killed.
he will remove, or he's planning to remove after the reaction that trailed that particular provision.
That who is going to?
Well, the person that brought up the bill says that, you know what, seeing the reaction to that, the capital punishment attached to it. Now, I'm not holding forth for him. I just want to put this in for you. He says, you know what, maybe I'll remove that part, but then the hate speech bill will still go ahead.
But why put it in the first place? Why put it in the first place? Those who constructed the American Constitution did so on a liberal basis. And the first statement in the American Constitution says, we, the people. The third president of America, Thomas Jefferson, said that if he was to be given a choice between a government without newspaper and a newspaper without government, he would choose the latter, meaning that newspaper and the media are the bulwark of democracy. So what is it here, for instance?
So you're saying that we should learn from this?
Yes, we should learn from this. That autocracy, the era of autocracy is gone. What the Democrats are saying is that Trump cannot be above the law, that he's subject to the law. And his demeanors and behaviors and conducts have given the impression that he's above the law. And they said, no, he must be reined in and he must be impeached as a lesson to him that he is not above the law. But here, autocrats are above the law. We don't kowtow to institutions.
But
we kowtow to individuals.
It is widely said that we practice a democracy. So you think that this is not a democracy?
No, it's a pseudo-democracy.
Okay, another thing which this brought to light is the talk about separation of power. I mean, you see the Supreme Court can actually make major decisions independent of the executive. Now we're seeing the legislature, the House of Reps, also giving the executive a good run for its money. And that's something we'd like to discuss when we come back from this break, especially in the context of Nigeria. You said we should learn from this. In what ways? And in what areas are we not measuring up to that expectation? We'll go on this quick break, right?
Just before we go, we still have Professor Idoko. So at this point, there are two options before America. One, status quo remains. Two, the president is indeed removed. What are the consequences of either?
Well, I think there are major consequences. I don't know if on one part, the consequences are better than the other. If Trump continues in office, is not removed by Senate, the consequences are going to be heavy. It's going to unleash vengeance on the party system, on democracy in America, because he's going to be vindictive, knowing that he might have gone, if not for the Senate, if not for Republicans. That's on one hand. On the second hand, if he's removed, I think it will be better for America. It will be better for America, because Trump's presidency has been tumultuous.
No, it's interesting you think it will be better for America right here in Nigeria.
Well,
some will say, how about we, because I was going to talk about the issue of separation of power, and I want to ask, the arms of government as they are right now, do they have enough power or independence to be able to pull off what we're seeing in the United States? That's in Nigeria, that is.
You mean our legislature?
And the judiciary, pretty much.
No, our institutions are very weak, pretty weak. We know that because the operators of the institutions are compromised and they are neck deep in corruption.
Those are very huge allegations.
Yes, and I stand by those allegations because we know them.
And you have proof?
Yes, I have proof. I have proof.
Okay, interesting.
And the antecedents are there. Okay, take the time of Obasanjo, for instance, where senators were bribed, $50 million naira for each senator for him to continue on a third term. It has happened in this country. That's the legislature. The executive
those were allegations.
compromising the legislature.
Can you validate these allegations with proof?
Are you asking me to validate?
Yes.
When it was out there in the public domain.
No.
Somebody like Nwabara, for instance,
Okay.
received 50 million.
Okay, well.
He disclosed that he did receive 50 million naira from the president.
Well, this is
for him to vote.
It's an interesting conversation,
yes.
which we could continue, but we really have to go now. Professor Nick Idoko is a lecturer at Christopher University in Ogun State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
And just before we go, a couple of messages that you have sent in. We have this one from Henry Ewunono, who says about Nigeria's power sector, the music genre of Nigeria's power sector is actually a dirge, unending tale of woes. Let's not enter into the next decade with a primordial issue as power supply.
And Zimo sends in this one about power sector, says there is nothing good to appraise regarding the power sector. The common man is still paying for a service he's not getting the value for. It's so bad that people still refer to the discos as NEPA. Perhaps that's why you have the up NEPA. Different nomenclatures, worse services. That's according to Zimo's blog.
Okay, well, that's the much we can take on the program today, Sunrise Daily. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Makine. Have a wonderful day.
And I'm Kayode Okikiolu. You can always watch this on YouTube, of course, at Channels Television.
Why does it feel like Friday, though? I don't know why, but thank you for watching. I'm Mal Ogun Yusuf.